Hello, and today I'm going to be talking about time lapses, how to do them, what gear do you need. Let's get started. Before we begin, I just wanted to go through what is a time lapse. Now, a time lapse is a sequence of images over a long period of time that's stitched together to make time look like it's moving faster than it actually is. I've been getting into them a lot recently and have been really enjoying shooting them, so I thought I'd share my process with you on how I do it. My first tip is choosing the right location. You want to choose a captivating location that has a lot of movement in it. That could be cars moving in the foreground, or the sky, the clouds moving up above, or a sun setting in the distance. You want to set up and compose your shot where there is a lot of movement going on. My second tip is setting up the camera properly. Now, you need to make sure you use a really sturdy tripod and make sure it is nice and secure to the ground, and you don't move it when the time lapse is happening, because this will create a jittery sequence overall and it won't be smooth or stable. Also, you've got to set up your camera properly. Make sure it's in manual mode to get the most out of this. And also, what I do is I'd shoot with a lower aperture to make it smaller depth of field, as well as you can adjust the shutter speed to create different forms of motion. So if there's a car moving by, you can have a slower shutter speed to make it look like there's motion blur and there's lots going by, or you can have a faster shutter speed on your desired photo. So just set it up like you would a photo and then go from there. You also don't want any exposure changes, so it is a must that you shoot in manual mode, because you don't want auto ISO on and the exposure changing throughout. This will really mess with it. So make sure once you set up the camera that there is no changes to the settings. You just let it go how the camera is set up. Number 3, if your camera does not have a time-lapse mode, invest in an intervalometer. Now, this device will allow you to set the different speeds and delays you want in between each photo. So this is a really handy device to get if your camera doesn't have an internal time-lapse setting. If your camera does have an internal time-lapse setting, make sure you're on the photo mode and not the video mode. Now, I know you can go on the S&Q mode and create time-lapses through that way, but this is not as good a result as if you use the photo mode. This is because you will have more resolution in your photos, so you'll get more information in there. They're easier to adjust because you can edit them, the raw photos, so you'll have a lot more dynamic range to play with in the post-production stage. Tip number 4 is the composition. Make sure you're using the rule of thirds or any other composition just to make sure that you have a nice composed image that is looking 3D, because you want to create appealing images that lead the viewer's eyes through the whole scene, and experiment with it. Have fun with it. Try different angles, looking up, looking down. You know, you just don't have to have that plain old front-on image. You can have lots of different variety to it. So have a play around with lots of different angles. With time-lapse photography, patience is a key. Once you set your camera up, you need to let it go, sometimes for hours. What I normally do, however, is I set it up to an interval of 3 seconds. That'll take 250 photos, which is roughly 10 minutes, which will create a rough 10-second clip in your timeline. Now, you can play around with these, try different things, try go longer, try go shorter. The shorter you are, the time won't look as fast. The longer gap there is between each photos, it'll make time look like it's moved real fast. So have a play around what works with you, but my rule of thumb is I want to try to get a 10-second clip. That's 250 images and roughly 3 seconds. Each of those images is 10 minutes. So just have a play around how long you've got, you know, depending on the time. But that's where I start out, and then I base all my other judgments off those parameters. Once you have all of your time lapses together, what you want to do is upload them to computer, go through the images and put them into their own folder and label that folder what it is so you can easily find it, and make sure all the images are there for the correct time lapse. Once you've done that, import it into Lightroom and just edit one photo from it. Once you've edited that photo how you like it, copy and paste that edit over the entire range of the photos, then export them, but make sure you export them at maximum quality. Once exported them, import them into Premiere Pro and drop all the photos into your timeline. Now what you want to do is select all of your images. You can either press A and then click on them all, or you can select them all, whatever's quicker for you. Right click, go on speed, speed, and then change all of them to one frame. And then you want to click this little box here, which is ripple all of them, so they'll all jump up together, so there's no gaps in between them. Now what this will do is just add one frame per image, so it'll jump them all together, and when you play it through, it should all be in the right order. You may need to change the size of your sequence, so I change it to a 4K sequence, and then you'd need to shrink the images down a bit, so you can just do that on one and then copy it over the rest. This is really handy because then you've got more resolution to play with. You can zoom in, zoom out, you can do lots of different things with it, and you can zoom right in, you can adjust the composition from there and retain all that information within the time-lapse. Time-lapse photography may take some time, but the results are absolutely worth it. I'm really enjoying making these at the moment. I think they're super fun, and they add a very unique perspective to videos that other shots can't necessarily do. So what you're waiting for, grab your camera, set up your tripod, get out there, get shooting. I'd love to see what you come up with. So if you've got any results, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see them. But thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it and found this information useful, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. That'd be really appreciated. But until the next video, I'll catch you later.